What if I told you that nearly everything you think you know about the Great Wall of China is a carefully crafted illusion? That this legendary monument, celebrated in textbooks, glorified in films, and etched into our global imagination, isn't a single, unbroken wall at all, but a sprawling patchwork of fortifications built over 2,000 years, a structure that doesn't just stretch across mountains and deserts, but across dynasties, disasters, and dreams. Today, we're leaving behind the polished tourist brochures and postcard-perfect photos to journey deep into the wall's untold history, to uncover its buried secrets, forgotten legends, and uncomfortable truths. What you'll discover may challenge everything the world believes about this ancient wonder, and reveal a far more human story hiding just beneath the stones. The Great Wall isn't just a wall, it's a graveyard, a highway, a fortress, and a symbol all rolled into one massive structure that defies simple explanation. But here's what your history books never told you. The wall you see in those iconic photographs represents less than 10% of the total structure that once existed. The rest lies buried under centuries of earth, demolished by weather and war, or hidden in remote locations where few humans have ever set foot. Let's start with the most persistent myth that refuses to die. You've heard it countless times. The Great Wall is the only man-made structure visible from space. This claim has been repeated so often that even Chinese textbooks once included it as fact. But here's the reality that NASA astronauts have confirmed repeatedly. You cannot see the Great Wall from space with the naked eye. The wall is incredibly long, yes, but it's also remarkably narrow, typically measuring just 20 to 25 feet wide at its base. From the International Space Station, orbiting roughly 250 miles above Earth, the wall simply blends into the landscape. You'd have better luck spotting major highways or large cities. Yet this myth persists because it captures something true about the wall's significance in human imagination. Even if it fails scientifically, the origins of the Great Wall reveal an even more complex story than most people realize. When we talk about the Great Wall, we're actually discussing multiple walls built by different dynasties across more than 2 millennia. The earliest defensive walls appeared during the 7th century BCE, constructed by various warring states to protect their territories from each other. These weren't connected structures, but rather isolated fortifications that served local defensive needs. The famous unification under Emperor Qin Shi Huang around 220 BCE involved connecting and extending these existing walls, but even his version looked nothing like what tourists visit today. Here's where the story takes a dark turn that few visitors to the wall ever learn about. The construction of the Great Wall required an absolutely staggering human cost that historians are only beginning to fully understand. Conservative estimates suggest that over 1 million people died during the Qin dynasty construction alone. Workers included soldiers, peasants, and prisoners, many of whom were literally worked to death. The wall became known as the longest cemetery on Earth, with bodies of deceased workers allegedly incorporated directly into the structure itself. While archaeological evidence for this practice remains limited, the metaphor captures the brutal reality of the wall's construction. But the human cost extended beyond the construction crews. The wall's construction required massive population relocations, with entire communities forced to abandon their homes and move to support the building effort. Families were separated, traditional ways of life disrupted, and regional economies devastated to feed the wall's insatiable demand for labor and resources. Some historians argue that the social upheaval caused by wall construction contributed significantly to the eventual collapse of the very dynasties that built it. The engineering achievements hidden within the wall's structure reveal the sophisticated knowledge of ancient Chinese builders. The wall wasn't simply stacked stone and earth, but incorporated advanced architectural principles that modern engineers still study today. Different sections employed varying construction techniques adapted to local geography and available materials. In mountainous regions, builders carved foundations directly into bedrock and used locally quarried stone. In desert areas, they employed rammed earth techniques, layering sand, clay, and organic materials to create surprisingly durable barriers. Some sections included sophisticated drainage systems to prevent water damage, while others incorporated ventilation shafts and storage chambers that served multiple functions. The defensive capabilities of the wall extended far beyond simply blocking invasions. The structure functioned as an integrated communication system, with watchtowers positioned at regular intervals to relay messages across vast distances using smoke signals and flag systems. During daylight hours, smoke signals could transmit simple messages across hundreds of miles within hours. At night, Fire signals served the same purpose. This communication network allowed commanders to coordinate defensive responses and request reinforcements long before enemies could reach their targets. Hidden beneath the wall's surface lie countless chambers, tunnels, and storage facilities that served crucial logistical functions. These spaces housed weapons, food supplies, and equipment necessary to maintain the wall's defensive capabilities. Some chambers were large enough to shelter entire garrison units during severe weather or prolonged sieges. Archaeological excavations continue to reveal the complexity of these underground networks, suggesting that the wall's builders created what amounted to a subterranean city stretching across northern China. The legends surrounding the Great Wall often blur the line between historical fact and cultural mythology. One of the most persistent stories tells of Meng Jiangnu, a woman whose husband died during wall construction. According to legend, her tears were so bitter and prolonged that they caused a section of the newly built wall to collapse, revealing her husband's bones so she could give him a proper burial. While historically questionable, this story reflects the genuine anguish that wall construction caused countless families and has become a powerful symbol of resistance against tyrannical government projects. Another fascinating legend describes dragons that guided the wall's construction, determining its precise route across the landscape. According to these stories, builders followed dragon tracks through mountains and valleys, explaining the wall's seemingly serpentine path across northern China. Modern analysis reveals that the wall's route actually follows sophisticated principles of military engineering and geography, taking advantage of natural defensive positions and controlling key transportation corridors. But the dragon stories capture something important about how ancient Chinese culture understood the relationship between human construction and natural forces. The Great Wall's role in Chinese military strategy was far more nuanced than simple border defense. Rather than creating an impermeable barrier, the wall served as a complex system for controlling trade, migration, and communication between northern nomadic peoples and settled Chinese agricultural communities. The wall included numerous gates and checkpoints where officials could monitor travelers, collect taxes, and regulate the flow of goods and people. These control points generated significant revenue for imperial governments and allowed them to maintain detailed intelligence about activities in border regions. The wall also functioned as a massive employment program and economic stimulus for border regions. Garrison troops required food, equipment, and services, creating demand that supported local communities. The wall's construction and maintenance provided work for countless craftsmen, merchants, and laborers whose activities contributed to regional economic development. Some historians argue that the wall's economic benefits may have been as important as its military functions in justifying its enormous costs. The most surprising truth about the Great Wall might be how ineffective it actually was at preventing invasions. Throughout Chinese history, major invasions succeeded not by breaking through the wall, but by going around it, finding gaps in coverage, or corrupting guards who opened gates in exchange for bribes or threats. The Mongols under Genghis Khan conquered China despite the wall's existence, as did the Manchus who established the Qing dynasty. These successful invasions suggest that the wall's psychological and symbolic functions may have been more significant than its practical defensive capabilities. Today, the Great Wall faces threats that its ancient builders never anticipated. Climate change, pollution, tourism, and urban development all pose serious challenges to the structure's preservation. Acid rain slowly dissolves mortar and stone, while millions of annual visitors cause wear and damage through foot traffic and souvenir hunting. Some remote sections are disappearing entirely as local communities harvest stones and bricks for modern construction projects. The wall's future depends on balancing preservation with accessibility, maintaining its role as a cultural symbol while protecting it from the very tourism that provides funding for its maintenance. Modern conservation efforts employ advanced technologies, including satellite monitoring, drone surveys, and digital mapping to track the wall's condition and plan preservation strategies. But these efforts require sustained international cooperation and funding that reflects the wall's significance as a World Heritage Site. The Great Wall of China remains one of humanity's most remarkable achievements, not because it succeeded in its original defensive purpose, but because it represents the extraordinary lengths to which civilizations will go to protect their way of life. Its true legacy lies not in the stones and mortar that tourists photograph today, but in the complex story of human ambition, sacrifice, and perseverance that those structures represent. The wall stands as a testament to both the incredible capabilities and the tragic costs of human determination, reminding us that our greatest monuments often embody our greatest contradictions.